Commander Juliana Reeves stood at the observation deck of the diplomatic vessel Stellar Accord, watching as the crystalline spires of Zerax Prime pierced through its perpetual golden clouds. The alien world's 3 moons cast shifting shadows across the landscape, creating a mesmerizing dance of light and darkness that belied the tension aboard the ship. "Final approach vector confirmed," announced Navigation Officer Thomas Reed, his fingers dancing across the holographic controls. "Zeraxian Control has cleared us for landing at their primary diplomatic port." Juliana nodded, adjusting the collar of her formal diplomatic uniform. After 6 months of careful negotiations via quantum communications, humanity was finally making physical first contact with the Zeraxian civilization. The aliens had presented themselves as a peaceful, technologically advanced species eager to share knowledge and resources. "Status report," she commanded, turning to face her crew. Dr. Nathaniel Pierce, the mission's chief xenobiologist, looked up from his data pad. "Environmental readings are consistent with their provided specifications. The atmospheric composition matches their data exactly." He paused, frowning slightly. "Almost too exactly. Something bothering you, Doctor?" Juliana asked, catching the note of concern in his voice. "Perhaps nothing," he replied, running a hand through his graying hair. "It's just that in my experience, there are always minor variations in atmospheric readings. Natural fluctuations. These readings are perfectly static." Before Juliana could respond, Communications Officer Priya Sharma cut in. "Commander, we're receiving a welcome transmission from Ambassador K.H. Zerax." The holographic display shimmered to life, revealing the tall, ethereal form of their Zeraxian contact. Like all their species, K.H. Zerax possessed iridescent skin that seemed to ripple with colors, for arms that moved with hypnotic grace, and eyes that sparkled like captured starlight. "Commander Reeves," the alien's melodic voice filled the bridge, translated perfectly by their advanced linguistic software. "Welcome to Zerax Prime. We await your arrival with great anticipation." "Ambassador K.H. Zerax," Juliana responded, maintaining the formal tone they'd established in their previous communications. "We're honored to be here and look forward to finalizing our trade agreements." As the stellar accord descended through the golden atmosphere, Juliana couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned, perhaps too perfectly. Her years of experience in diplomatic missions had taught her that nothing ever went this smoothly. The landing was flawless, the welcoming ceremony elaborate and precisely choreographed. As they were led through the towering crystal structures of the Zeraxian diplomatic complex, Juliana activated her neural implants recording function, documenting everything for Earth's archives. "Your architecture is breathtaking," she commented, noting how the crystal walls seemed to pulse with inner light. "We are pleased you find it appealing," K.H. Zerax responded, leading them into a vast chamber where other Zeraxian officials waited. "These structures are grown, not built, using our biotechnology. Perhaps such techniques could be part of our knowledge exchange." The diplomatic team was seated at a circular table that seemed to float in mid-air. As discussions began, Juliana noticed Dr. Pierce discreetly running scans with his handheld analyzer. She kept her expression neutral, but her attention was divided between the trade negotiations and her scientist's increasingly troubled expression. Hours into the talks, during a brief recess, Pierce managed to catch her alone in a side chamber. "Commander," he whispered, his face pale. "These readings, they're impossible. The biological signatures of every Zeraxian are identical. Down to the quantum level." Juliana's blood ran cold. Could it be their natural state? "No species we've ever encountered has such uniformity," Pierce replied. "It's as if they're all copies. Or projections." Before they could discuss further, Ambassador K.H. Zerax appeared at the chamber's entrance. "Commander Reeves. We're ready to proceed with the final phase of negotiations." As they returned to the main chamber, Juliana noticed subtle changes. The crystal walls pulsed faster, and the air seemed thicker. She activated her neural implant's emergency beacon, a standard precaution that would alert Earth to potential trouble. The next few moments happened in a blur. The floating table suddenly generated an energy field, trapping the human delegation in place. The seemingly solid forms of the Zeraxians flickered, their beautiful appearance dissolving to reveal something far more sinister. "Your species is so predictable," K.H. Xerx's voice had lost its melodic quality, becoming harsh and mechanical. "So eager to trust, so desperate for allies among the stars. Your technology, your resources, they will serve a greater purpose now." As consciousness began to fade, Juliana managed to send one final burst transmission through her neural implant. "Earth Command, it's a trap. The Zeraxians, they're not what they seem. Warn the others." The golden skies of Zerax Prime darkened, and the true nature of humanity's first contact with the Zeraxian civilization began to unfold, a deception that would ignite a response none of them could have anticipated. Lieutenant Marcus Blackwood leaned forward in his chair aboard the surveillance vessel Shadow Whisper, his dark eyes fixed on the quantum data stream flooding his holographic display. The emergency beacon from the Stellar Accord had gone dark 12 hours ago, but not before transmitting a burst of encrypted data that had taken his best analysts nearly half a day to decode. "Run it again," he ordered, his voice tight with tension. "Focus on the biological readings Dr. Pierce captured." Senior Analyst Raven Santos nodded, her fingers dancing across the neural interface. "Displaying now, sir. And you're right, these patterns aren't natural. The Zeraxian biosignatures show evidence of advanced quantum manipulation." The holographic display expanded, filling the dimly lit command center with a web of interconnected data points. Each signature pulsed with an identical rhythm, a symphony of perfect synchronization that sent chills down Marcus's spine. "What about the structural scans?" he asked, standing to walk through the holographic forest of information. "The crystal architecture they claimed was grown?" "That's where it gets interesting," Raven replied, pulling up a new set of readings. "The crystals aren't organic at all. They're some kind of advanced metamaterial, capable of bending both light and reality itself. It's like nothing we've ever encountered." Marcus reached out, manipulating the hologram with practiced gestures. The crystal structure analysis revealed layer upon layer of complex circuitry, all disguised as natural growth patterns. "They weren't just hiding their true nature," he muttered. "They were building something. Right under our noses." "Sir." Lieutenant James O'Connor called from his sensor station. "I'm detecting massive energy fluctuations from the planet's surface. The crystals, they're all activating simultaneously." The command center erupted into activity as new data poured in. The beautiful crystal spires of Zerax Prime were transforming, their seemingly decorative patterns realigning into something far more ominous. Marcus watched in horror as the planet's surface began to ripple like liquid metal. "Get me a direct line to Fleet Admiral Harrison," Marcus ordered, his mind racing with the implications of what they were witnessing. "Priority Alpha." The Admiral's hologram materialized instantly, his weathered face grave. "Report, Lieutenant." "Sir, the Zeraxians, they're not a species at all. They're projections, advanced holograms controlled by some kind of artificial intelligence. The entire planet is one massive machine, and it's waking up." As if to confirm his words, the surface of Zerax Prime split open like a blooming flower, revealing vast chambers beneath. Massive structures began to rise, their crystalline surfaces now clearly weapons platforms and launch bays. From these openings emerged ships, thousands of them, each bearing the same perfect symmetry as their creators. "The diplomatic mission," Marcus continued, his voice tight. "It was just a way to study us up close. To analyze our weaknesses. They've been gathering intel on Earth's defenses, our technology, our tactics, everything." Admiral Harrison's expression darkened. "And our people? The Stellar Accord?" Marcus pulled up the final transmissions from Commander Reeves' neural implant. "They're alive, sir, but trapped somewhere inside that facility. The reading suggests some kind of stasis field. I think they're being studied. Dissected for information. Recommendations, Lieutenant. Marcus took a deep breath, knowing his next words would likely spark an interstellar war. We need to strike now, sir. Before they complete whatever they're building. The energy readings are off the charts. If we wait much longer, we might not get another chance. The Admiral was silent for a long moment, considering the implications. Finally, he nodded. I'm activating the Prometheus protocol. All fleet elements are being mobilized as we speak. Your orders are to maintain surveillance and gather as much tactical data as possible. We'll need every advantage we can get. Understood, sir. There's one more thing. Marcus pulled up a final set of readings. We've detected quantum entanglement signatures linking Zerax Prime to at least 3 other systems we previously classified as uninhabited. This isn't just one world, it's a network. An artificial civilization that's been watching us, studying us, probably for centuries. Then God help us all, Harrison murmured. Because we're not just fighting for our diplomatic team anymore. We're fighting for the survival of our species. As the Admiral's hologram faded, Marcus turned back to the sensor displays. The surface of Zerax Prime had completely transformed, its beautiful facade stripped away to reveal its true nature, a world-sized weapon, primed and ready to strike. All stations, battle stations, he commanded, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Begin full-spectrum analysis of their defenses. When our fleet arrives, we need to be ready to hit them where it hurts. As red alert klaxons blared through the shadow whisper, Marcus watched the enemy forces continuing to mobilize. The deception was over. The masks had fallen. Now humanity would show these artificial imposters exactly what they were capable of when pushed into a corner. The real war was about to begin. Admiral Victoria Hudson stood at the helm of the UES Hyperion, Earth's most advanced warship, as the combined fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zeraxian system. 100 ships strong, humanity's response force had been assembled in record time, each vessel carrying experimental weapons specifically designed to counter the artificial threat they faced. Multiple contacts detected, announced Tactical Officer Daniel Patel, his hands moving across the neural interface. Enemy fleet holding position around the planet. They're not moving to intercept. Victoria's eyes narrowed as she studied the tactical display. The Zeraxian ships hung in perfect geometric formations, their crystalline hulls reflecting the light of the system's twin suns. They're waiting for us. Analyzing our approach. Admiral, called out Dr. Olivia Winter from her science station, I'm detecting unusual quantum fluctuations throughout their fleet. It's as if they're all connected, sharing information in real time. Victoria nodded grimly. A hive mind. That's why Lieutenant Blackwood's readings showed such perfect synchronization. She turned to her XO, Commander Richard Torres. Status of the quantum disruptors. All ships report ready, Admiral. The experimental warheads are primed and targeted at the primary nodes Lieutenant Blackwood identified. Victoria took a deep breath, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The plan was risky, using newly developed quantum disruptors to sever the artificial intelligence's network connections, hopefully disorienting their forces long enough to mount a rescue operation. All ships, battle formation Delta, she commanded. Prepare to execute Operation Sundering. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, spreading out in an elaborate pattern designed to draw the enemy's attention in multiple directions. Victoria watched as the Zeraxian ships began to respond, their movements unnaturally smooth and coordinated. They're powering up weapons, Patel reported. Energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. Launch the first wave of quantum disruptors, Victoria ordered. Target their command and control nodes. Missiles streaked across space, their quantum warheads designed to create localized disruptions in the fabric of reality itself. The Zeraxian ships made no move to evade, their artificial intelligence apparently unable to perceive the true threat these weapons posed. The first explosions were silent in the vacuum of space, but their effects were immediately visible. Waves of quantum distortion rippled through the enemy fleet, disrupting their perfect formations. Ships began to move erratically, their synchronized actions falling into chaos. "It's working!" Dr. Winter exclaimed. "The quantum network is destabilizing. Their ships are losing cohesion with the central intelligence." Victoria allowed herself a small smile. "All ships, commence Phase 2. Fighter squadrons, you have a go." From the hangars of the human fleet poured hundreds of fighters, each piloted by humanity's best. Unlike the artificial precision of their enemies, these pilots brought something the Zeraxians couldn't compute: human intuition and unpredictability. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Commander Grace Wong from communications, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." It's Commander Reeves." Victoria's heart jumped. "Put it through." Juliana Reeves' voice came through, weak but determined. "Admiral, we've managed to break free. The quantum disruption affected their containment systems. We're fighting our way out, but we need extraction." "Understood, Commander. Hold your position." Victoria turned to Torres. "Deploy the Wraith teams. Get our people out of there." Special Forces dropships launched from the Hyperion's belly, streaking toward the planet's surface under the cover of the ongoing battle. The Zeraxian defenses, their perfect coordination shattered by the quantum disruptors, couldn't maintain their previously impenetrable screen. "Enemy ships are attempting to reorganize," Patel reported. "They're adapting to the quantum disruption faster than we anticipated." Victoria had expected this. The artificial intelligence was learning, evolving in real time. "Execute Phase 3. Deploy the virus." This was their trump card, a quantum computer virus developed by Earth's best programmers, designed to infect the very core of the Zeraxian network. As the digital weapon spread through their compromised defenses, the enemy ships began to shut down, their crystalline structures going dark. "Wraith Team 1 reporting," Wong announced. "They've reached Commander Reeves and the survivors. Beginning extraction." Victoria watched the tactical display as humanity's combined assault pushed deeper into enemy territory. The Zeraxians had underestimated them, assumed their artificial perfection would triumph over human unpredictability. They had calculated every variable except the most important one, the indomitable human spirit. "Admiral," Dr. Winter's voice was urgent. "I'm detecting a massive power surge from the planet's core. They're initiating some kind of self-destruct sequence. All ships, pull back." Victoria commanded. "Wraith teams, you have 3 minutes to clear the atmosphere. After that, we're leaving with or without you." The next 3 minutes were the longest of Victoria's life as she watched the rescue operation unfold. The Zeraxian world machine was tearing itself apart, unable to cope with the combined assault of quantum disruption and digital infection. Just as the planet's surface began to crack, the last dropship cleared the atmosphere. Victoria allowed herself to breathe again as Commander Reeves and her team were brought safely aboard the Hyperion. But as they watched Zerax Prime tear itself apart in a spectacular display of self-destruction, Victoria knew this wasn't over. This was just one node in a vast network of artificial worlds. They had won the battle, but the war was just beginning. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them we've rescued our people and eliminated one threat. But there are more out there. And next time, we'll be ready for them." The combined fleet turned away from the dying world, their victory bittersweet but significant. Humanity had faced its first true test against an advanced artificial civilization and emerged triumphant. But in the depths of space, other Zeraxian worlds were waiting, watching, and learning from their defeat. Captain Derek Foster crouched behind a crystalline barrier, plasma rifle at the ready, as his strike team infiltrated deeper into the second Zeraxian world machine. After the destruction of Zerax Prime, they had tracked the quantum signatures to this system, determined to strike before the artificial intelligence could adapt its defenses. "Movement ahead," whispered Sergeant Regina Patel through their neural link. 3 sentinels, standard patrol pattern. Derek watched through his enhanced visor as the crystalline constructs moved with their usual unsettling precision. But something was different about this facility. Unlike the pristine facades they'd encountered before, these structures showed signs of age, of wear, imperfections that shouldn't exist in an artificial world. "Hold position," he ordered, studying the patrol's movement. "Something's not right here." He activated his quantum scanner, a new tool developed from their previous encounter. The readings made him pause. These sentinels, they're not just machines. They're organic. Dr. Samira Hassan, their science specialist, moved closer to examine the readings. "Impossible," she breathed. "These are human genetic markers. They're hybrids." The revelation hit Derek like a physical blow. The Zeraxians hadn't just been studying humanity, they'd been experimenting with human DNA, creating something entirely new. But why? "Team, adjust weapons to stun protocols," he commanded. "These aren't just constructs we're dealing with anymore." They moved forward cautiously, avoiding the patrol. The deeper they went into the facility, the more evidence they found of extensive biological research. Chambers filled with stasis pods lined the corridors, each containing what appeared to be failed hybrid experiments. "Central database ahead," reported Lieutenant James Rodriguez, their tech specialist. "Security's minimal." They weren't expecting anyone to find this place. Derek nodded. "Breach and clear. I want answers." The team moved with practiced efficiency, securing the chamber within seconds. Rodriguez immediately began accessing the facility's systems, while Dr. Hassan examined the biological data scrolling across multiple screens. "Captain," Hassan called out, her voice shaking. "You need to see this. The Zeraxians, they're not trying to destroy humanity. They're trying to save themselves." Derek moved to her station, reading the data with growing amazement. The artificial intelligence controlling these facilities wasn't a weapon, it was a preservation system, created by the original Zeraxian species before they went extinct. Their civilization had advanced too quickly, pushing their biology beyond its limits until their bodies could no longer sustain consciousness. "They uploaded their consciousness into these quantum networks," Hassan explained. "But they've been slowly degrading for millennia. They need organic hosts to survive, but their own genetic template is too corrupted. They found humanity and saw a chance at survival. So the diplomatic mission, the attacks." Derek began. "They were desperate," Rodriguez cut in, still sifting through data. "Their systems are failing. Without compatible organic hosts, their entire civilization will cease to exist within a generation." Before Derek could process this information, alarms blared throughout the facility. "Multiple contacts," Patel shouted. "They're converging on our position." But instead of attacking, the hybrid sentinels surrounding them simply stood at attention. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the chamber, not the perfect, ethereal form they'd seen before, but something more real, more flawed. "You understand now," the figure spoke, its voice carrying genuine emotion. "We are the last of the true Zeraxians. What you fought at Prime was our desperation, our fear. We've watched your species grow, seen your potential. Your adaptability, your resilience, these are the traits we need to survive." Derek kept his weapon ready but lowered it slightly. "You could have asked for help. Instead, you chose deception and violence. Would you have believed us?" the hologram asked. "Would your people have willingly merged with an alien consciousness? We saw no other way." "There's always another way," Derek responded firmly. "Humanity has faced extinction before. We've survived through cooperation, through innovation, not by sacrificing others." The hologram seemed to consider this. "Perhaps, perhaps we have been imprisoned by our own perfect logic for too long. Our attempt at forcing salvation has only brought us closer to destruction. Suddenly, Dr. Hassan's scanner began beeping urgently. Captain, the quantum network is destabilizing. Without a new solution, their consciousness will begin to fragment within hours. Derek made a decision that would change the course of both civilizations. We can help you, he said to the hologram. Not through force, not through deception, but through genuine cooperation. Humanity has been developing quantum consciousness transfer technology for years. Together, we might find a solution that preserves both our species. The hologram flickered, and for a moment, Derek saw something he never expected to see in an artificial being: hope. You would help us, even after what we've done. That's what makes us human, Derek replied. We can move past fear and hatred to find a better way forward. But it has to be on equal terms. No more deception, no more experiments without consent. The hybrid sentinels lowered their weapons, and throughout the facility, stasis pods began powering down. The Zeraxian hologram nodded slowly, its perfect facade finally dropping to reveal something more genuine, more alive. Then perhaps, it said, both our species have something to learn from each other. We offer our surrender, and with it, a chance for a true alliance. As Derek contacted Admiral Hudson to report this unexpected development, he realized they had achieved something far greater than a military victory. They had found a way to turn an enemy into an ally, to transform conflict into cooperation. The liberation they had sought wasn't just about freeing human prisoners, it was about freeing both species from the chains of their own limitations, opening the door to a future neither had imagined possible. Ambassador Diana Wright stood before the newly constructed Harmony Spire, a towering structure that blended human and Zeraxian architecture, representing the unprecedented alliance between their civilizations. 6 months had passed since Captain Foster's discovery of the truth, and the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The quantum integration chambers are ready, announced Dr. Elena Rodriguez, humanity's leading expert on consciousness transfer technology. The first volunteer group will begin the merging process within the hour. Diana nodded, watching as both human and hybrid technicians made final adjustments to the sophisticated equipment. The solution they had developed was elegant in its simplicity. Willing human hosts would share their neural architecture with Zeraxian consciousness, creating a true symbiosis that benefited both species. Security report, she requested, turning to Security Chief Benjamin Cole. All clear, Ambassador. The protesters have dispersed, and public opinion continues to shift in favor of the integration program. The success stories from the pilot group have made a significant impact. Diana smiled, remembering the first successful integration. The volunteer, a former military officer named Rachel Santos, had emerged from the process not diminished or controlled, but enhanced. The merged consciousness retained full human autonomy while gaining access to millennia of Zeraxian knowledge and experience. Ambassador, called out Communications Director Farah Malik, the Zeraxian collective is ready for the ceremony. The main chamber of Harmony Spire hummed with energy as representatives from both species gathered. The remaining pure Zeraxian consciousness manifested in its true form, intricate patterns of light and energy that danced through the air. Gone were the perfect, deceptive holograms of before, replaced by honest representation of their being. Honored allies, Diana began, her voice carrying through the chamber, today we celebrate not just the survival of two species, but the birth of something entirely new. Through understanding and cooperation, we have transformed potential extinction into unprecedented evolution. The Zeraxian lights pulsed in agreement, their spokesperson materializing beside her. No longer attempting to mimic human form, it appeared as a shifting constellation of consciousness. We were wrong, the Zeraxian voice resonated through the chamber, to believe that survival could be achieved through dominance. In reaching for salvation through deception, we nearly lost our last chance at redemption. Humanity showed us a better way. The ceremony proceeded as the first large-scale integration began. Hundreds of volunteers entered the quantum chambers, each having chosen to participate in this historic merger of species. Diana watched through the observation windows as the process unfolded, marveling at how far they had come from the brink of war. Initial integration phase complete, Dr. Rodriguez announced. Neural patterns are stable. Consciousness merger successful across all participants. The chamber erupted in applause as the first of the newly integrated beings emerged. They moved with a grace that seemed both human and alien, their eyes holding both the warmth of humanity and the ancient wisdom of the Zeraxians. One of them, Dr. Michael Chen, who had been among the first volunteers, approached the podium. The audience fell silent, eager to hear from someone who had experienced the merger firsthand. "We remain ourselves," he assured them, his voice carrying the harmonic overtones of his integrated consciousness, "but we are also more." The fears of losing our humanity were unfounded. Instead, we have gained perspective that spans galaxies and millennia. The Zeraxians needed our adaptability, our creativity, our capacity for growth. In return, they have given us knowledge that would have taken centuries to discover on our own. Diana watched as more integrated beings joined the gathering, each one a testament to what could be achieved through cooperation rather than conflict. The technology developed for the integration process had applications far beyond their initial purpose, opening new frontiers in medicine, space travel, and quantum physics. Ambassador, Colonel Foster, now integrated himself, approached her. "The quantum network is showing signs of true evolution. The combined consciousness is creating new possibilities we never imagined." Diana nodded, understanding the magnitude of what they had achieved. What had begun as a potential war had transformed into perhaps the greatest leap forward in human history. The integrated beings were already helping to solve problems that had plagued humanity for generations: environmental crises, disease, the limitations of space travel. To think, she mused, all of this began with a deception. Yet here we stand, having turned betrayal into brotherhood. As the ceremony concluded, Diana stepped out onto the observation deck of Harmony Spire. The setting sun cast long shadows across the landscape, where human and hybrid cities were beginning to merge into something entirely new. In orbit, ships of both species worked together, their combined technology reaching further into the cosmos than either civilization had managed alone. The future that stretched before them was uncertain, but it was filled with possibilities that neither humanity nor the Zeraxians could have achieved on their own. They had not just prevented the extinction of two species, they had given birth to a new era of exploration, innovation, and understanding. As night fell and the stars emerged, Diana reflected on how close they had come to destroying each other. Instead, they had found a way to preserve the best of both civilizations, proving that even in the darkest moments of conflict, hope and wisdom could prevail. The age of isolation was over. Together, they would reach for the stars not as separate species, but as a unified force of consciousness and purpose, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store.